Okay, good day, everyone. Today's day is Sunday, February 9, 2025. We will continue on talking about Platform Sutra. Now we come to the chapter of the doubt. So, last time it was on January 26, 2025. We ended at the part where our teacher, Master Sung Yan, give advice to his disciple. So he said, in reality, these troubles are our own making. Face them, and you will see that losing your home is just a temporary separation, not a true loss. Being imprisoned could be a blessing. Inside there's no endless business, only rest. And then the layperson relieved, he went home, even dropping his original intention to ask for financial help to get through his troubles, and saying that I'm ready for prison. Right. So that's how it ended last time. Now, as we know, the Platform Sutra is fundamental text of Chinese chant, though it technically should be classified as treatise. In Sanskrit, it's called Sastra, rather than a sutra. As sutras traditionally are spoken by the Buddha. In Buddhism, the Buddha's teachings are sutras, regulations are Vinaya, and the commentaries or explanations by disciples are treatises, or we call it sastras. However, according to Chinese tradition, fundamental works of thought are considered sutras. Hence, works like the Confucian 5 classics and 13 classics are referred to as sutras, as they represent timeless principles. So when we're listening to a sutra, then there's a need it doesn't require grasping every detail like a school lesson. If a few sentences resonate with you, that's enough. So now we come to the translation. It goes like this. Good knowing advisors always practice the 10 good practices, and the heavens can easily be reached. Get rid of others and self, and Mount Sumeru topples. Do away with deviant thought, and the ocean waters dry up. Without defilements, the waves cease, and cruelty, and there are no fish or dragons. So the advice is from Master Huineng, the Huineng of the sixth patriarch. So first of all is practice 10 good deeds then one could be said to be reached or to be in the heaven. And then get rid of others and self. And then the monks mirror topos. And then without the deviant thoughts, then the ocean waters dry up. And then with no defilements, the waves cease. To end the cruelty, and there are no fish or dragons. So, first of all, is always practice 10 good practices, and the heavens can easily be reached. This means that if we regularly cultivate the 10 virtuous practices, it is as if we are already in heaven. It is equivalent to ascending to heaven. So, what are the 10 virtuous practices? Well, our action divided into 3 major categories. 1 is the mental actions, 2 is the physical actions, 3 is the verbal actions. So 3 of them. Each of these categories contains different aspects. In terms of mental action, there are 3 aspects: greed, hatred, and ignorance. Sometimes we translate the hatred as anger. These 3 mental behaviors cover many of our afflictive activities. If we can transform these mental actions into non-greed, non-hatred, and non-ignorance, then greed becomes non-greed. Anger or hatred becomes non-hatred. And ignorance becomes non-ignorance. These are known as the 3 kinds of virtuous mental practices. Then, based on these 3 mental actions, we can evaluate and judge the other 2 categories: physical actions and verbal actions. So, physical actions are divided into 3 types. 1 is killing, the other one is stealing, and the third one is sexual misconduct. The commander of these physical actions is our mental behavior. Our mind directs our body to commit various unwholesome deeds. These unwholesome deeds can be categorized into 3: killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. So if we change killing to non-killing, or to releasing living things, say letting them go free, refraining from killing becomes a virtuous deed. Stealing, which originally refers to petty theft or opportunistic stealing, can be transformed into generosity, which then becomes a virtuous action. Sexual misconduct refers to illicit relationship outside of marriage. Such actions cause family conflicts, create problems for children and disturb social order and stability. These are all forms of unwholesome deeds. In contrast, by adhering to the concept of non-sexual misconduct, we can bring happiness, health, and stability to ourselves and society. And this constitutes the three virtuous physical actions. Verbal actions are the behaviors we create with our mouth and tongue, and they include four types: lying, frivolous speech, slander, and harsh speech. Lying means saying something that is not true, claiming something is true when it is not, pretending to be ignorant when one knows, or stating falsehoods with the intent to cause others harm or to gain personal benefit, even if the other party does not suffer loss. Essentially, it is deception. Then, frivolous speech refers to speaking in vulgar language, using dirty and coarse words. Such speech is unhealthy for both yourself and others. Then we come to the word slander. This term means sowing discord between people. For example, telling so and so what others have said about him, and then telling others what so and so said about him to provoke conflict. It is essentially stirring up trouble. Then, harsh speech is when you use offensive and hurtful language to insult or criticize others, causing them emotional pain with sarcastic or malicious remarks. The opposite of 10 unwholesome deeds is called the 10 virtuous actions. Many people who study Buddhism and believe they are practicing the Bodhisattva path think that the 10 virtuous practices are too basic and are only meant for those at human and heavenly levels, thus not worth focusing on. Usually, they speak of following the Bodhisattva path and learning the Buddha's way, but neglect the fundamental virtuous practices for human and heavenly beings. Well, we need to know the level of spiritual practice. So, the human and heavenly path requires following the 5 precepts and practicing the 10 virtuous actions to be reborn as a human or in the heavenly realms. This is called the human heaven path. The other one, going further, is the Sravakayana path, which is a vehicle of listener, which aims to become an arhat through the practice of the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path, and the 12 links of dependent origination. Then, beyond that, we have the Mahayana Bodhisattva path, like the Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara, who practices the 6 perfections, or 6 paramitas, or even the 10 perfections, aspiring to liberate countless sentient beings. Finally, the highest level is the Buddha path. However, many people aim too high and neglect the basic requirements of the human heaven path, thinking they can immediately become a Buddha without realistic efforts. In the Buddha path, there are concepts such as the 4 fearless states and the 4 unobstructed wisdom. But people often ignore this. Some want instant results after hearing that the Chan is a path to sudden enlightenment, believing they can become Buddhas instantly. So, a teacher once, he shared something like this. He said a man came to him wanting to learn Chan. Well, Chan is indeed part of the Buddha's teaching, but it represents the highest level, which is sudden enlightenment. So this person asked our teacher that sudden enlightenment was, what is it? So our teacher explained that it means achieving Buddhahood without gradual cultivation, like the saying of, lay down the butcher's knife and immediately become a Buddha. In other words, let go of your troubles and you will instantly be enlightened. So this layperson asked to learn this method, but said, I don't have time to meditate, observe precepts, or read sutras. Meditation makes my leg hurt and I'm very busy. Please give me the best shortcut. And what our teacher replied was that if I had that method, I would have used it on myself first. Then this person immediately responded, then you must not understand Chan, right? And our teacher said, I would not say I understand it fully. Since I don't understand Chan, I teach others to cultivate step by step. If I did understand Chan, I could teach you to become a Buddha instantly. Then this lay person said, then go forget it. I found the wrong person. I will find someone else. So our teacher thinking that I'm sure he will never find anyone because such a thing doesn't exist in this world. This is one of the stories. Now, another story. He said, this is also shared by our teacher. He said, I met a lay practitioner who had just taken the Bodhisattva vows in the US. And this person greeted our teacher by saying, I am a Bodhisattva here to pay respect to a Hinayana master. Then our teacher asked him, what do you mean? He said, I have taken the Bodhisattva vows. So our teacher said, because you have taken the vows, you are a Bodhisattva? And he replied, yes. And our teacher questioned him, who told you that? And he said, the preceptor did. So our teacher said, taking Bodhisattva vows does indeed make you a Bodhisattva. But why do you call me Hinayana? And then he replied, practicing the Bodhisattva path is for lay people, while monks are arhats. So you are Hinayana. As we know, this is absolutely incorrect. Because as a monk, we also take the Bodhisattva vow. And the one who administers the vows is usually a monastic. How could a monk be Hinayana while the disciple is Mahayana? That makes no sense. So our teacher asked him, what's the first thing you should do after taking the Bodhisattva vows? And he replied, practice the Bodhisattva path and cultivate the 6 perfections. I have already made vows to cultivate the Bodhisattva path and aspire to bodhicitta for life after life. Then our teacher explained to him, do you know that the foundation of the Bodhisattva path is the human heaven path, which means following the 5 precepts and the 10 virtues? When you took your vows, you probably only heard about the Bodhisattva precept, not the emphasis on the 5 precepts and 10 virtues. The Bodhisattva precepts encompass the 5 precepts and 10 virtues. So they are often not mentioned explicitly, leading you to overlook them. So that is another one. So then there's another one. So a lay practitioner who had taken the 3 refuges and 5 precepts also misunderstood this. The 5 precepts include non-killing, non-stealing, non-sexual misconduct, and non-lying, which also cover the 10 virtues. The spirit of the precepts comes from the mind. Without understanding how mental actions relate to physical and verbal behavior, the precepts cannot be fully practiced. Then there's another one. One time there was a person who received the Bodhisattva's precept. He bought many fruits as an offering. Then our teacher asked him, how much did these fruit cost? Where did you buy them? And the person replied, they were free. And our teacher asked, where in the world is anything free? And he explained, those trees have no owner. Everyone was picking fruits, so I picked some as well and brought them to offer to the Buddha. Then our teacher told him a story. He said, many years ago, during a power outage in New York City, chaos ensued. Many people went out into the streets and began looting shops, taking anything they wanted. The city fell into chaos for several hours. When the police restored order and arrested the looters, they asked them, have you stolen things before? Many answered, no. But since everyone else was taking things, I thought it would be waste not to join. And then our teacher told the practitioners, just because others are picking fruits doesn't mean you should do the same. Are you still a true lay Buddhist? Often we fall into a trap. When people criticize us, we follow along. When they curse, we curse too. When they steal, we steal too. When others quit their jobs, and we think, if they quit, why should I stay? If 3 people are working and 2 leave, the third one feels foolish and quits too. Is that how a true Buddhist should act? Then a teacher again shared another story. He said a Chinese woman married to an American. She found out the husband had a girlfriend. After a big argument, she told him, if you can have a girlfriend, then I'll find a boyfriend. Her husband challenged her, go ahead if you dare. She did just that, and eventually the marriage fell apart. She came to see our teacher and told him, Master, I did not intend to get a boyfriend or divorce. Having one husband was enough. But when I found out my husband had a girlfriend, I felt it was unfair. So I got a boyfriend too. Now the family is falling apart, and my current boyfriend doesn't want to marry me. What should I do? Then our teacher told her, you're so foolish. If your husband did something wrong, that doesn't mean you should do the same. You know it was wrong, but you still did it. Is that fairness? No, it's not. Your husband fell into the water, but you jumped into the fire. How is that a smart decision? So in the Prasam Sutra, it is said, always practice the 10 good practices, and the heaven can easily be reached. This means that if we frequently cultivate the 10 virtuous practices, it's as if we are already living in heaven. There's no need to wait until after we die after we die and born to heaven. We now advocate the building of the Pure Land on earth. The Pure Land and heaven are quite similar, but there are differences. In heaven, there's still attachment to the self. One enjoys heavenly blessings and believes they possess merit and good fortune, enjoying the rewards of those blessings. In the Pure Land, one does not act out of selfish desires. There's no attachment, no resentment, no hatred, and no worries. The Pure Land is a place without afflictions, while heaven is free of affliction, but filled with attachment to enjoyment. In our daily lives, if we encounter unpleasant situations, or if our physical or verbal actions create trouble for others and ourselves, those are not virtuous deeds. They are unwholesome deeds. Now, if we regularly reflect on and examine ourselves, removing any mental activities that bring afflictions to ourselves or others, we will naturally stay aligned with the 10 virtuous actions. Without meeting the basic standard of the 10 virtues, how can we expect to be reborn in heaven? And if we cannot even reach heaven, how can we hope to reach the Pure Land? If we do not practice the 10 virtues, even though we have not fallen into hell, we may already be suffering in a hellish state. Conversely, if we practice the 10 virtues, even if we are not in heaven, we are already enjoying heavenly blessings. From the teachings of the Platform Sutra, we can understand this perspective. If our mind are filled with greed, hatred, and ignorance, we will see the people around us as frightening and malicious, demonic faces and animal-like features, wielding clubs and threatening us. Even the kindest people will appear suspicious, fearful, or envious of us. On the contrary, if our minds are free from greed, hatred, and ignorance, we will see everyone around us as kind, compassionate, and noble bodhisattvas and Buddhas. So one time, our teacher explained this principle to a layperson. And this layperson responded by saying, "Master, that's because you live in a monastery and have no contact with society. So in your mind, everyone is kind, compassionate, and like bodhisattvas or Buddhas. But out here in society, it's all deceit and betrayal. we encounter selfish, narrow-minded people competing and fighting with each other. How can I see them as bodhisattvas? How can I treat bad people as saints? Master, you are an idealist. You live in a monastery, so you think the world is good, is a good place full of good people? You're a monk. You don't have to deal with any of this. Then our teacher replied, that is not necessarily true. Even though I'm a monk, my disciples in the monastery can also appear like demonic figures with bow and horse faces, tough, this referring to tough or difficult to deal with. Whether we are inside the monastery or outside, people are still people. What matters is your state of mind. If your mind is troubled, the world you see will be full of troubles. If your mind is calm, the world will appear peaceful and stable. It all depends on your mindset. If your mind is filled with affliction, you will see the world as chaotic and troublesome. If your mind is clear, the world will appear pure and serene. Okay, so our teacher also shared something like this. He said once he gave a layperson this metaphor. The saying goes, within 10 steps, there is fragrant grass. If you walk 10 steps, you will certainly find some beautiful, fragrant grass. But within those same 10 steps, there are also thorns, prickle plants, and poisonous weeds. The world is like this. However, even thorns have their uses. In traditional Chinese medicine, several beneficial herbs come from thorny plants. And our teacher said that once, when he visited Wales in the UK, he noticed many sheep farms. The boundaries of these farms were marked with thorny hedges, which serve as fences to keep the sheep safely within the pastures. These thorny plants were very useful. They prevented the sheep from wandering off and act as natural barriers. So while good things are naturally good, if you know how to skillfully use the bad things, they too can be beneficial. And then upon hearing this, the layperson said, that is too difficult. Fragrance is always pleasant, but foul smells give me headaches. Then our teacher explained, when you encounter a pleasant fragrance, you can enjoy it for a while, but don't overdo it. Too much fragrance can also be problematic. As for bad smells, why would you keep smelling them on purpose? If you know it is unpleasant, you can avoid it. If you can't leave, don't breathe deeply. Take smaller breaths. This way, you won't absorb too much of it, and then the harm will be minimized. In this world, We develop greed for what we like and anger toward what we dislike. This behavior distances us from heaven and brings us closer to hell. If we know it's hell, why would we insist on going there? Okay. We will stop here for now.